The fog beckons, as
Yeah.
Salazar says. Hey, everybody, this
I
is Peter
like that.
Palmiotti. Making comics and art, episode, what is it, 46, I think. Um, with me tonight is Jason of FogBreaker Studios.
What's up, y'all?
Hey.
How's it going?
So, yeah, you're all over the internet tonight.
I guess so. I'm bouncing around. This is my media blitz. I did Marshall's channel, now I'm doing yours, and then I'm going to bed. No airplane
Yeah.
rides, no publicists. I'm just getting my tail in bed.
Cool. So yeah, I mean, you might as well just jump right in and
All
tell
right, well,
people um, about your thing.
yeah, okay. So my thing is I got a art challenge that I came up with. I called it the FogBreaker Open. Card subject to change as far as the name goes, but basically it's 31 days, 31 stories based on a prompt a day, so get in, look at the prompts. I got them on my Instagram at FogBreaker Studios, and you're limited to a one-page story, whether that's a prose one page, whether it's a piece of, I don't care if it's a piece of poetry to one page or art, do a comic, for a one page comic, however many panels you want to do it, knock it out in a page, move on to the next one. So goes all through October. It's a storyteller's challenge because I don't feel like that we have enough challenges to get us as sharp as a lot of the art challenges that we have, like, and they're all good, but none are really built to enhance storytelling exclusively. And I wanted to do something to kind of get everybody into storytelling and help people find stories they didn't know they had. That's the cool gist of it. But other than that, man, it's like, who's gonna have the best verse on the record? That's really what I want to know. Like, who is going to show up and try to knock this out? Because I say, why wouldn't you do it that way if you're gonna do it? So what's happening? Like, I don't know. I'm excited to see if I can. I gotta pull it off because it's mine. But I'm excited to see what it looks like. I'm excited to see what Halloween night looks like with all these days behind me. So we'll see.
It could be a horror story, man.
It's definitely gonna be a horror story, like it or not.
Well, yeah, I mean, we talked a little bit behind the scenes about
Yeah.
it beforehand, and it's like I sort of have an idea for a challenge, but I'm not, like, I got too much going on to head up a challenge. But I
Right.
thought it would be excellent to join up in yours. Um, and I'm looking at it like this, like, I have an artist that is going to be joining me,
Nice.
Abiel Parsons, for anybody that knows Abe. Um, and I'm going to be writing the story. And I'm just looking at it as a challenge to just get into the habit of writing every day.
That's
Um,
that's it. Yeah.
yeah. So my grand scheme is that I'm going to, like, individually tell a story, but overall tell a story, which is
Oh, word. Okay.
something I approached Inktober that way, and some success, some failure
Yeah.
previously, but I just can't get away from that kind of just tackling that. Um, so yeah, I thought of, okay, I like cyberpunk. So I'm going with a
Yeah.
cyberpunk theme.
Nice.
And I thought of a simple sort of overall plot
You
that
can
I'll be
build around with the
following,
prompts.
and yeah, and it will just be day by day. I'll build on the story and really see where it takes me, and kind of make it up as I go.
That's cool. But you'll find, you might find a beat in it that is worth building on down the road. And that's the cool thing about that I've enjoyed about being in practice on writing every single day is you can develop an idea past an idea. And
Yeah,
that's where the good stuff is, like it's a lot to get to it, but you can't really ask for much more than like finding your story. So no, man, like that's the purpose of the challenge is find it. Like whatever it takes, find it. Like and realize that you can do it.
yeah.
Because a lot of people just feel like
So,
they don't.
I just want to mention Abe is in the
Yeah.
chat. Did you try to
Hey, what's up?
come on the show, Abe? I
Oh,
sent you the
Ronnie's in the
link.
chat. Frank's in the chat. What's going on, y'all?
Yeah, we got everybody here.
Yeah, check it out.
Spillover from
For
from
Marshall's show, yeah. There we go. This is the after party.
Yes. Welcome, one and all. Welcome.
Oh man, so here's actually like my next goal is to try to one day like basically reverse engineer a story because I've never been able to do it. I want to be able to tell a story by drawing it out first and then adding the captions after, and it's just not the way I do things typically. So it's like that's kind of what I'm building towards is being able to like get from what's in my brain to a script to a story page to almost doing it to where I can just think about this, be able to build a story in my mind enough to start drawing it straight away. So that's a fun little like side project that I want to build towards, but we'll see. I like writing though.
Yeah, it's like I've written a lot, but I don't have a particular system I follow each time.
Yep.
I just figure the more I write, the better I'll get. But
that's it. It's repetition. You start to realize like, okay, hey, that is cool, and I did like it when I saw something like this somewhere else. And we've seen enough.
Yep. I mean, come on, it's comics. It's not so hard.
No, it's comics. Yeah. What do you like about comics? Like, and then let's work from there. But no, there's a couple of like words on this challenge. Like I did it pretty. I chose the words pretty randomly, and it's like looking back at them, I'm like, that's gonna be an interesting day to try to pull off, but that only makes me work harder. So I know somebody's going to be able to do it, so I better be able to do it, right?
Yeah.
So I try to put a chip on my shoulder in a positive way.
Okay.
And after I do that, I like to just see if I can put it into practice, because what I was saying on Marshall's channel was just like production is paramount to movement. You know what I mean? Like you have to see yourself producing something in order to want to keep working at it. And so you end up with if I end up with a printable book every 4th month that is consistent, like that's a win, even if I just keep it on my bookshelf. So that tells me that I'm functional and I'm active in what I'm trying to accomplish. So that's the whole purpose of the challenge.
Yeah, it's like if I do at least the majority of the days successfully, to where it's not horrible, then I'll probably at least offer up a digital version of it or something.
Sure, exactly. Yeah. But that's just it. Like, you know, they everybody always talks about how important it is to keep like your social media active. And if you got something to post most days there and it's something different that you're doing that's part of a cool challenge, then this is that. You know what I mean? Like it serves a purpose, and you also can't help but to kind of get better by doing this multiple days in a row, especially for 31 days. Like, say it's a tall project, but I'm kind of locked in. I'm locked in
Absolutely.
now, but I'm looking forward to it though. Like, I know I can complete it. Also, I've got a dope artist that I'm doing it with, Aaron Guzman, and so it's like I'm pretty confident that he can convey my stories that I'm telling for this. And I did not. He just kind of offered to do it, so I'm like, let's see what happens.
Yeah, I'm excited to, I mean, we all know Inktober and how much fun the community behind that
Yeah,
is, and this is pretty much the same thing. And it's, we'll get to read what people are creating, and as well as see. So,
right.
like you said, whether it's people doing it or people doing it as teams or whatever, we can follow along.
Yeah, we can all follow along. I had there a friend of mine that's a writer has already said that he's going to try to do it and complete it, and his will probably all be just one page stories, which I love. Like I once I was able to start reading whatever I wanted to. I loved reading Ray Bradbury because it was like reading Twilight Zone. It was really short stories. They always had a sci-fi twist, and the twist was always less scary and a lot of times dark. Like, you know what I mean? So it's kind of what I gravitate. My stories are darker. Like if you ever read what I write, it's always kind of it always has that darker slant to it. But that's how like people who do music always say, well, I write about what I see. Well, I grew up around some pretty wild, dark shit, so that's that's how I create, because I love showing people what's behind the curtain. And so if I can do that, and I'm confident in my story, but I've been writing it as long as I've been wanting to like learn how to be serious about comics. So and when it's a long story, you try to figure out, okay, am I just good at telling this story? Am I a good storyteller? And how do I exercise those muscles? Like, you can always pick up a pen and paper and sketch, and that shows quickly, but there's not a lot of writing exercises for comic creators that I knew of that would address it without, because I like to do stuff. It's exercises in the traditional sense are very hard for me to get into, especially when it comes to writing. Like, I can enjoy gesture drawing and I can enjoy like quick sketches, but there's really nothing like that you can do to like flex your to exercise your script writing. So I wanted something like that to see where I was, and that's why I decided to do it for myself. But I knew enough people that would be game to at least be interested in it, that I wanted to put it out and see who would be interested in it, and if they would try, and if they would just watch and maybe try again. And I didn't want to wait a whole year, so let's do it every fourth month. But after Marshall's channel. I may wait till February and do like a couple skate version of the FogBreaker Open, where it's like, I'll put the prompt up maybe 3 weeks in advance, and find a partner, do-si-do, see what you can come up with. I think that would be fun. Every artist gets a writer, definitely. Every writer gets an artist. Something different.
Then you can build a whole community and start matchmaking, and
there you go. And have a little. The comics will be the babies. It's like it's babies everywhere now. It's comics everywhere. Who knew these people would work together? So I'm all for it, man. Valen Breakers Day. That sounds like a VHS horror movie. Valen Breakers Day. He breaks out of the insane asylum every Valentine's Day, and then he makes a couple, and then he stalks them. I like it. Let's see. No, so what you working on tonight, man?
I'm working on Retro. Hey, this is a later page because I'm just jumping around, inking figures mostly. But so this is page 22 of 28. So this is our hero fighting the villain.
So Retro is educate me on Retro, because I don't know a ton about it yet. And then I'll tell we'll talk some more about the challenge. But no, like straight up, like this is just me wanting to talk to you at this point.
Yeah. Well, I'll mention first, like Abe, I think, is trying to get in. It says devices not connected. So let's see. Can I do anything about it? Let me kick him out and see if he gets back in. Abe, if you're listening, try to get back in, or let me message him on Facebook, where I'm messaging him. Anyway, so Retro is essentially, I grew up in reading comics mostly from like the comics from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s mostly. And very influenced by all those. Okay. All right. And there's tons of other influences. Like mostly I was a Marvel fan. I read everything from Spider-Man, Captain America, Hulk, Thor, Conan, just like Avengers, Defenders, like almost a little bit of everything they had coming out. Daredevil, of course.
Cool.
But I was also like into independent titles, Cerebus, ElfQuest, Nexus, and I was heavily into heavy metal in the early days. And I can go on and on. He's not connecting. I'm trying to get Abe in. Anyway, so yeah, so what I'm doing is I'm creating my own little universe of characters. Retro is the first one. But this is a character I originally created when I was in my late teens. Like one summer day, me and my friend were out hiking in the woods. north of New York,
Yep.
and he showed me a character he created called Mineral Man, and I thought,
Right.
oh, that's cool. So off the top of my head, I created Retro. Initially it was a name, and then I sort of came up with a look,
Yep.
which is it's pretty simple look, um, but over the years I sort of built out a story for him,
Yep.
and I got into comics. Um, like I had a day job for like 10 years, but I got into comics right after that. So it was my late 20s, and
Yep.
I got into comics as an inker, and even though I knew a lot of independent guys, I really just wanted to, like my goal was to ink for Marvel and DC, and
Sure. Right.
I succeeded at that.
Dope.
But the sort of turning point was that I wasn't totally satisfied just doing that. Um, at the same time, it's like I could have had a full career just as an anchor if if nothing changed in comics.
Sure.
But everything changed
Right.
in comics. We're all in the digital age now, and um, things are vastly different.
Yep.
Anyway, it's like I I attempted some web comics along the way, um, and I thought it would be neat to publish something one day, but um, I was really like sort of just dipping my toe in and um, just trying. I want to say, okay, Abe's trying to get in. It doesn't seem to be working.
That's too bad.
Um, so let me just message him
All right.
really quick uh,
Yeah. No
before I
problem.
interrupt my story again. Okay. All right. All right. So I guess he won't be joining us tonight. I'll get him in again another time. He's trying to do it through his phone, which should work, but
You never know, man. Phones are aggravating sometimes.
yeah. Oh wait. Oh, did he get
Hey.
to work? Are you here?
Does it work? Am I on?
Yeah, I can hear
Yay!
Yeah, it finally worked.
It worked.
you.
Cool. All right, let me finish my retro story. Not that I don't already talk about this like every time I show up somewhere, but
This is the first time
yeah.
I've heard this story, so my bad.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I tell it different every time, so whatever.
You're like the Joker.
Yeah. so so yeah, I mean, it really like I, I've been inking comics forever and working. I worked for Marvel in DC at some point. I worked for Valiant back in the day. I worked on just just a whole bunch of independent comics.
Yep.
And I was always envious of any of my friends who put out their own books and stuff in a good way.
Right.
And like my personality when I was young was like, I was just a shy kid, a loner, yada yada. Um, so it really took me this long to get around to saying, well, hell with everything. I'm just going to do it.
Right.
And this was back in 2009. And I had an initial artist, and he did a couple of pages, but he decided, I don't want to do comics. I want to do pinup art. I was like, okay.
Okay.
Then I found another artist, which is the artist that did the first issue. And he has since said that he's gone into painting. I was like, well, that's okay.
Oh, wow.
You did the first issue. It's all you.
Right.
That's cool. I'll just take over the art chores with issue 2 on. It sort of gave me the groundwork to work with going forward. Like, I guess I would have freaked out totally if I thought of doing the pencils for the first issue myself.
Sure.
But so now the book is fully penciled. I have like a draft of writing. There's some coloring. I went, I kickstarted it last year, and I had a colorist attached to it, but unfortunately, he wasn't that fast. And it's not that he wasn't not that fast; he just wasn't that fast with what I was giving him, working with me. So I said, "This is not going to work out." He took like. I forget now. It took a long time just to do 4 pages, and I was like, "This is not going to happen." So, actually, Marshall is going to be coloring it.
Nice,
Marshall Lee, and I was going to try to get the inks done this month, which didn't pan out because this month turned into a wild, chaotic ride. And it looks like next month, at least beginning of next month, I'm going to be focusing on trying to pull in money. Because I had a couple of different day jobs recently, and do not now. So I have to bring in the money. So I'm going to be focused on commission work and whatnot. Do I have it here? Oh no, I don't. It's probably in my scanner. I'm working on a Jay Garrett flash piece. I posted on my Instagram. I'll finish that up tomorrow. I got an Aquaman commission. I got some other stuff going on. Anyway, I will get this issue done this year. And just really excited about getting this book out into the people that pledged to the Kickstarter. Once that happens, then I'm going to do an Indiegogo. Because like the Kickstarter only did a 5-day Kickstarter, which if you know people that kickstart their comics, they usually do 30 days. So I'm going to do a much longer Indiegogo, see if I can get some real funding, because with the funding I got for the Kickstarter didn't really cover a lot when it comes to printing the books and then shipping them. Plus, I got to pay the people involved and
shipping
all that
is
jazz.
expensive.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, it's just like it's inspired by the comics that I grew up on. I want to tell stories more like they used to be told, but with some modern stuff in there. Not nothing political or anything like that. Just I want to. Like in heavy metal, you have nudity, you have blood, and blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. Like you wouldn't see that typically in an issue of Captain America. But
definitely not.
It won't be gratuitous, at least not at first. But
Right.
yeah,
But
I got yeah, I got a bunch of other characters, and I got a number of artists that want to work with me. So I'm really excited about the universe I'm sort of building and where it's going to go, and yeah. But it's being just like a solo, pretty much just a solo publisher guy. It's going to be a slow burn initially until I can really get things up and running.
Yep.
But I love what retro is becoming. And I already have like plots for the next bunch of issues. I might even, once I get the first issue out, sit down and write the next 2 or 3 issues.
Right.
And I just do simple plots, and me being the artist, really don't need that much. But
well, that's just it. You're writing for yourself, yeah.
Yeah.
At least for now.
But even working with the other artists, I mean, I haven't done a lot with them yet, but I've thrown them some pages and stuff, and I'm sort of working out the plot as I go.
I got you.
But it's a real interesting process thus far in having conversations with them, and how much extra gets added to my initial vision based on what they like and are into, and it's like it really just opened things up. So so hopefully, like, I could be one of those successful crowdfunders and finance the next couple of years.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Somebody's got to do it. So, like,
yeah.
I found that I really enjoy writing I think that I'll really like writing for artists. Just, working like this whole FogBreaker Open I'm doing with Aaron Guzman. And like, we just been kind of batting ideas back and forth, but you kind of see how cool something can become when you have 2 people who are able to laser focus on 2 points instead of 1 point. You know what I mean? So I never thought that it would be easy for me to write for another artist, because I used to write so long-winded, but now I'm seeing the value in having somebody else's vision that you dig on, put eyes on your stuff and try to communicate it in their language.
Yeah. And it's really interesting getting, like I asked for breakdowns first and then finished page art. It's really interesting. Like, here's what I came up with, and then here's what they put together. And it's like, okay, let's go with that. Maybe this isn't entirely right. Can you change that one thing? Yeah, and then the finished page art is like, oh wow, it's not what I envisioned, but it is within the spectrum of what I put out there, and let's roll with that and go forward. And yeah, it's really fascinating.
Yeah, it's all I'm excited to learn. I'm excited to learn more about this part. Like, you never know. Like, it was always a situation of, okay, like, what if I'm only, thank you, what is it, Weblight? Appreciate it. Those are fun. Those are going to be fun prompts to knock out. So we'll see what happens. I hope you get to do some. But, it's like, what if you only, and maybe this is just me, but what if you are not as good as you think you are as a writer. And then when somebody else reads it, they say, no, it's like, what do you do? And so you realize that shortly after, it's not really quite like that. And you get better because you got somebody else to bounce ideas off of.
Yeah, and it's like it's the littlest things. It's like, you're creating a scene. Like in the beginning of my book, it's Retro up against this villain Diamond, and Diamond has I forget how many now. Let's just say 3 henchmen. One's a woman and 2 guys, or maybe 3 guys. I forget. Anyway, they're in a back alley, and it's like just the logistics. Like the artist has to create the visuals and think about the logistics of what he's putting down to make sense of where the focus of this story is within each panel, and that affects the story. It's like every little thing is nuance.
Yeah. It's definitely not as easy as what I thought comics in general would be. Like once you really the more you learn, the better you want to get at it, and that opens up a whole new chapter of learning that you do. It's like what you didn't care about when you were just learning, you kind of want to care about, and then once you get to the point of wanting to publish something, like that's a whole, the expectations are at a whole different level. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's just it's not at all what I expected, but I can't get enough of it.
That's kind of what happened with me with the whole 100 thing. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, so just riffing off of that idea. So that's what happened when I first joined up. I thought it was going to be an easy thing to do, and then as I started learning more and more, it just became more of this thing that opened my eyes to the complexity of what we were going to do for our own little comic project. And and it's very easy to just run off on tangents if you're not focused on what you're doing.
Yeah, it really, really is. And it's easy to run yourself. Like when you do that, you get so far off the point. Like it really does run you into the ground, because it is a grind, and you grind to run something. You grind to run something off the road sometimes, and you don't even realize it. And it's like, to get back on track, you realize how much you have to do. It's tough. Like the 100s was very tough for me the first time I did it.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge.
Yep.
It's funny. I was watching. I don't know what it's called, but it's a documentary about the making of the last season of Game of Thrones, and lots of people know Game of Thrones. Excellent show until the last season, but it's fascinating because it's like, regardless of if it didn't exactly work out story-wise for lots of fans, a lot of love and a hell of a lot of work still went into the production of all that. And you still have to give them credit for trying. It's like,
right.
And that to me is like, it's like making comics, especially if you're any sort of team. It's like a lot of work goes into thinking about the work and working on the work and sort of working out problem solving, and
yeah, some panels have a lot going on in them, and when you get started on them, especially when I was just when I was doing the hundreds, I was very, very new to it. And it's like you write something and it looks good in your mind, but like there's a lot of steps. Like, and then like all the referencing that you have to do for certain pictures. Like I had a chain link fence in one, and it's like, whoa, like you can't really cheat on a chain link fence once you commit to it. And it's tough. Like, and so you put so much time in it, so it's like you almost have to use those pages even if you're not happy with them, because you spend days and days and days sometimes just trying to complete a page.
Yeah.
And like that was my big writing lesson, was like, just go. You don't have to describe everything. You hit your main points and you let your artists do what they do on the rest of it, even if the artist is you.
I mean,
what makes sense more.
Oh, I noticed, like, anybody who's read comics throughout the decades have noticed, like, not only the art is more technically better today than it was, 30, 40 years ago. A lot more has gone into writing better stories. And you don't always have to be so technically accurate. It's like,
right.
if you're writing a Superman issue of Superman where his head gets big because he ate some alien food or something,
Right.
it's you don't have to get into the details of why it happened, or or show it visually, or
right.
It's just supposed to be a fun story. Just make it fun.
Right. Have fun and make it fun. I remember when I must have been, I don't know, maybe 16 or 17 years old. There was a run of Superman where he was fighting the Parasite. I think it was leading up to like Action Comics 500. And he became like huge, like Hulk size huge. And I had no context because all my comic books just came from what I could pick up at Food Line or what I could pick up at the drugstore. And so, but though when I saw those comics and Superman was that big, man, I bought every single one of those I could find. And I still don't really know what made him look like that, but it had my attention,
Yeah,
just kind of piggybacking on what
like
you were talking about. Yeah,
today's fan. Yeah, it's like lunacy. You don't always have to be 100% detailed or accurate, or I mean that
right.
was the fault of like Star Wars, like when they try to explain what is the Force. Well, it's this whatever they called it, I forget.
Midichlorians.
Yeah.
That was the beginning.
It's like, that's a mistake. You don't explain that. It's like, that's like in horror movies, if it's a ghost, you don't try to explain the ghost like it's a ghost. It's
right. Yeah, but it's like that's
pissed off.
You're right. You're right. It's like that's what happened with like Freddy. Like from the movies that I've seen, they didn't really explain what Freddy was until much later in the movie. Like because you needed to just know that he was killing people in their dreams, and be afraid of that. Take that ride, and then figure out. You don't want to create too much sympathy on your villain just in case.
So earlier in this episode, I explained that both me and you, Abel, are going to be attempting the what is it? The
FogBreaker Open.
FOGTOBER.
Yeah, FogTober is cool. Yeah, we can call it that every once in a while. Oh my, that's cool.
I'm going with FOGTOBER.
But it's probably gonna change. Like, you know what I mean? Like with the month, since it's gonna be quarterly. So FogTober is cool. I dig it.
Yeah. So are you excited, Abel, to jump into our adventure?
Yeah, a little bit freaked out too, but I'm willing to do the challenge.
Yeah, well, I was thinking like my part is easy. I plan to wake up in the morning and maybe spend an hour just writing out whatever I can within an hour.
Yeah.
And you as the artist, it's like you got a day job, you're busy, you got a life. I don't expect you to do 31 pages. But it's like whatever you can put out there will be great.
Right.
If it's just like a sketch of a character and that represents what's happening on that page, then that's cool. It's like whatever.
It's still storytelling. Yeah. I'm excited to see what people, because that's just it. Like, just like you were saying, Peter, it's like I work 40 hours a week, plus sometimes, but you still gotta keep your you gotta keep your skills sharp. So what can you do? And I think this is like a cool way to do it. Like, not too committal, and you don't really have a ton of time to put in it to be overly concerned with the technical aspect of it. It's just a matter of get in and go, and then get out, and then do it again the next day.
Yeah, I think what will be fascinating will be a little bit of like whatever happens, whatever I put together over the 31 days, I think I am going to do a digital version, and I'm going to drop in like my thoughts on what I created, maybe the challenges I faced, little tidbits here and there, as they arise throughout, and I think that would be fascinating to would be creators or beginner creators,
just do
or
a
whatever.
little behind the scenes thing, because it's a different challenge for everybody. Like, if you're you do a lot of like super dope art and you're trying to get used to writing for 31 days, so that's putting you in a different mindset than you spend in a lot of the time. But it also benefits you because you're wanting to build a universe. So it's just like it's an exercise, and it's an exercise. Like, that's the spirit of it in its truest form is where can you take this after this ends? What can you do with this? Is this a pointless challenge? And I don't really think that it is. It's kind of like the hundreds. Like, I don't need to do the hundreds now because I'm in practice of getting on the board and drawing every single day now, and working on comics every single day. So I don't need to, what I mean? Like, I don't need the challenge aspect of it, but I do like the competition aspect of doing challenges, even if it's just with yourself. I think that can go a long way. Like that, that's how Michael Jordan became Michael Jordan, is because he made everything a competition, and it's the fruit of that was he became the best basketball player to ever play basketball. And so, I would be happy to end up being I don't know, I would be the I can't think of any old basketball players. Jeez, what is wrong with me? But I wouldn't mind being.
You could be rookie of the year
at 40 years old. Exactly. I'm good with that. You know?
It's fun. It's funny. I started watching the what is it? The Last Dance. It's about his career,
about the Bulls' last run in the finals together. I think that's the best sports movie that's ever been made, or the best sports documentary that's ever been made.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, the Hundreds is fun, Weblight. It is a challenge in every sense of the word, but it does come with a pretty cool sense of accomplishment when you're done. And I'm not saying that sarcastically. Like, to finish the Hundreds is a pretty cool thing. But so we'll finish in this challenge because this is a pretty cool challenge. And you're going to have stories at the end of it, like completed stories if you finish the whole thing.
Absolutely. Weblight is saying a lot. I'm excited to see all your creations. And I'm jumping around here, but very true. I stay away from fences and chainmail. What you were saying before. So Peter the Page is looking amazing. Thank you. And I never tried the comic in 100 days, but would like to. It's 100 days of working on your comic. It's not necessarily completing a comic in 100 days.
Right.
I tried it.
Which is very different.
Yeah, I tried and I still didn't. Even trying it, I didn't even come close.
Yeah, I storyboarded most of mine, but I had to go back and try and transcribe everything because looking at my pages, I'm like, I have no idea where I was going with this.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot to it.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna dial it back down, and with all these different challenges, and reading up on books, the advice that Scott's giving with his comic maker's kit and all that.
Yep.
And then just
he started another one today.
Yeah.
Cool.
And just dial my story back down to basics and get rid of all the fluff I was just throwing everywhere.
Those are fun days, though. Like when you just write, but sometimes they just don't work.
Yeah, it's good. It's good to just burn through attempting these kind of things, and because even if it's all a haze and you don't know what the hell you put on the page, it's good to work through it and say you've done it, because when it comes down to it, if you're looking to do comics for a living, frankly, a lot of it becomes a haze anyway.
Right, it's just part of the field, right?
I've worked on hundreds of books, and I can remember the top 10 or whatever, and it's like, oh yeah, I worked on that book. Oh yeah, I remember working on that page. Maybe it's like barely.
Oh man. So have you guys done any kind of scripting or anything for the challenge yet? Or are you just kind of gonna completely do it all inside the confines of the 31 days? Any preliminary stuff?
I came up with an idea that's pretty straightforward.
Cyberpunk stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you what the idea is now, because this is pretty much all I've written down. Okay, so it's a cruiser, like people go on boat cruises, but
Sure.
it's one that flies. And yes, it's in the future. It's in the sort of cyberpunk reality. And what happens is it's a cruiser that goes from New York to California, and it's a sort of a pre-flight test. So it's got the full crew, but only a percentage of passengers.
Okay.
And within that, I'm going to build the story.
Nice. That's a cool idea. That's a really cool idea.
Yeah. It could really be anything, but that's my framework.
Right. But you have a frame to build off of now. Like, and you can twist and turn it whenever you want to, but you have a sandbox to play in.
Exactly.
No, that's all you can really. That's a good place to start from. Like, these are the rules of my world, or this is what my world looks like from this angle.
Yeah,
man.
And like you were talking like about plot on Marshall's show.
Yeah.
And that's sort of how I start. It's like, because then I can pick apart, well, I need this kind of character and I need that kind of character.
Right.
And start building personalities and realities for them.
Right. Yeah, you can build people's character from their environment. Like, you just look at a character in the face, and it's unless you know exactly who you're doing, like sometimes their skill set or their obstacles may not match with the environment. And then you're like forcing things, or I find that I force things in the environment. Whereas if I start with a skyscraper, now it matters that I make a character that's afraid of heights, that I know is going to have to be outside on top of the skyscraper. That's, but now I can deal with the psychological aspect of that without too much buildup of how he became afraid of heights. And because that's what you want. You want to know what the effects of, I don't care where kryptonite came from. I want to know what it feels like when Superman's muscles get that tense, and when he gets a runny nose from a space rock. I don't care where it came from. I know that this is something that affects Superman.
Yeah, what if he gets allergies and starts sneezing?
Yeah,
Does he kill people?
Yeah. Yeah, that could be intense, Like, is your car insurance in Metropolis higher because you never know when Superman might sneeze? And if you're driving past him at 60 miles an hour, what happens,
But also because, we'll both be working with artists, and we're essentially writing one day at a time.
Yeah.
So, we'll put down our words, and then whatever they create, we'll build off of both of those things.
Yeah, and two, you want to give your artist as much time as possible to put something cool out. So, no, like, what does this challenge look like? And I want cool stories more than I want any kind of like use common sense, but I don't really feel like that there's a need to have like super strict rules as far as like once the prompts are out. If you have a story and you want to get it in front of like specific artists, you should be able to write something. The challenge, the prompt is going to be out like 2 weeks before. So it's not like you had this story sitting in your basement for 10 years that was happened to be written about a bottle of ranch dressing or tire treads or whatever the prompt might be that day. Like, there's still work involved in coming up with these stories. And that's the whole reason for the prompts.
You want to hear something funny? So what's the first prompt? Do you remember?
Nightmare.
Yeah, it's like dream or
It-
nightmare.
it-
Yep.
yeah, dream, nightmare. Well, I came up with the story, my structure today because of a dream I had.
Cool. That's awesome.
So I dreamt I was on some sort of flying cruiser or something, and was I don't even remember it, but it was like there was some sort of challenge that I had, and I don't know. I was just trying to get from one place to
Yeah.
another and not die or something or other. I forget. I didn't.
That's so cool.
I consider that a good dream. I don't really necessarily have many nightmares.
Yeah.
Because I was like, this is yes, my life is on the line, I guess. But I'm having fun. This is an
Right.
adventure,
Well, that's cool.
And
That's a very sunny disposition.
yeah, and I was looking at the prompts, and I was like, dream. Oh, well, I had this dream this morning, and it's like, oh, okay, let me just build on that.
That's cool. Like that's awesome. Like that's it, man. That's the spirit of any of our challenges. Like anything that we do in our field, like it's got to start somewhere. And I know like my main story, Ransom Note, starts with a dream because it's a personal experience with how I got the inspiration for Ransom Notes, not necessarily the dream, but what followed it. So, I just want something to keep myself sharp because, like I said, you write something for so long, and you want to make sure that you can answer the bell if somebody wants to collab with you. Because the longer you're around, the more cool artists you find, and the more you want to stay ready to work with some of these people who are a lot more accessible sometimes than you think. So this is how you stay sharp, is you push it to the upper limit when you can and get some reps in. And so nobody's really exercising storytelling reps a lot in a lot of the comics that I've read from like mainstream here recently. So that's not a knock. But it's it's like we all, if we want to complain about stories, we have to be available to tell better stories. And so I don't really like listening to a lot of the complaints, because you can build a better mousetrap if you have something to say about a mousetrap that exists already. And so I want to tell cool stories, and I want to be available to tell cool stories.
Yeah, I mean, people's opinions are just based off of current whatever they're currently exposed to anyway. It's not necessarily reality.
I get that.
It's
yep.
I look at Hollywood a lot, and it's like a little before my time, like old Hollywood would have like their main group of actors that would pretty much be playing the same part or a similar part over and over in different films. And there's something fascinating about that, because they're honing their craft over time on specific paths. But then I look at somebody like what's his face? Nicolas Cage, who has gone from indie film to mainstream film to indie film to mainstream film. He's bounced back and forth, and he's taking all these weird parts along the way. It's like, I mean, you may not say every film he's done is spectacularly different as far as his acting, but he is trying different things. He is experimenting what he dives into. And
two,
you know,
who ain't watching The Rock when it's on TNT? You know what I mean? Like, if you're home and The Rock is on, yeah, those movies work. Like, Gone in 60 Seconds, like, kind of the same movie as The Rock, but I'll watch that one too.
Yeah. So it's the same for us writers and artists, and you know, it's like, it's really, you know, what do we want to try, or you know, what do we need to try to make money?
Right, yeah, but I mean, that's it. You know, money's a byproduct of a mission accomplished. Like, it's a byproduct of your hard work. And so if you are in the storytelling business and you tell good stories, you will make money because you tell good stories. You know, if you don't tell good stories, then you need to tell good stories if you want the maximum benefit of your field. And so that requires us to be on our game. You know, it requires us to be able to write cool stuff out of anything. Like, where are we at? What are we writing about? Like, what do people want to read about? What kind of world do people want to visit? And being able to do it without, you know, just do it. So get me to the good.
You know, it's like I've in a very, 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 very small way have dipped my toe in what I call Hollywood, but you know, it's like I've done off Broadway with friends, just helping out, not acting or writing or anything like that. Yeah. I've assisted. I was a assistant in a director who in one day directed like 8 different commercials. We did like different locations in Manhattan, and you know, and different stuff.
Sure.
And it's all fascinating, and I think we can learn from all sorts of writing, all sorts of art. You know, it's like if you're an artist, you know, working on comics, of course, at some point you're going to look at the old masters, painters from Renaissance, and you know, it's like, yeah. And if you're a writer, you look at different forms of writing, and I think especially of people who are writing television shows or, you know, streaming shows and all this, like how I guess they have a Bible and different people write different, you know, jump in and write the next episode, and how challenging that is, and how also it's probably really fulfilling as well if you get it right. You know,
right.
I just watched is a show, I guess it was originally on AMC, Halt and Catch Fire. It was about the early days of computers, and I guess initially I watched it because it's really nostalgic, because I lived through like the computer age, and you know, it's probably not 100% factual in any sensitive way, but as a story, it was really compelling, and it's like it's focused on 3 very different types of people, creative people, and yeah, it was really like, yeah, some of it was like, okay, this is overblown drama for the sake of being overblown drama, but then some of it was really touching, and some of it was just really fascinating, you know. And
That's cool.
I mean, it's like I'm examining it from a writer's perspective. It's like, wow, if I was working on that, it's like, how would I do the next scene? How would I, you know, start thinking?
Right. But that's cool though, and after a while, you'll probably start to think the way that the creators of that show are feeling. Like you'll be able to kind of pick up on where they're going next.
Oh, well, you know, one of my talents I picked up from my father. One of my talents is like I could watch a movie and start quoting lines ahead of time.
Oh yeah.
You ever do that?
Every once in a while. I definitely wouldn't say I'm good at it.
It's nothing I really like try to do. It's just like all of a sudden it pops in my head what they're going to say next, and I'll say it out loud with whoever I'm watching, and they go, "God damn it!"
That's funny. Oh man, what time we got? It's 12:17. I gotta get my tail up and get to work in the morning, y'all. I'm all the way. I don't know if y'all are on East Coast or not, but I'm old, so I get sleepy.
I'm East Coast too. This
is
long enough. Yeah. So you want to tell people where they can find you, where they can see your prompt list? I got your Instagram link below. I could add more.
Yeah, check out my Instagram link. That's my main base. My YouTube is still fairly new, so y'all be patient with me, but I am going to put more content up on my YouTube. FogBreaker Studios on both. FogBreaker Studios on my Instagram is where I'm most active. So yeah, hit me up there. I'm always up for a chat or whatever. Like Peter knows, I'll talk just about any time. So just hit me up and check out my stuff, y'all. Let me know what you think about it. And the prompt list is there. It's pinned on my page. So check it out. And if you don't see it, look through my story or contact me and I'll send you a copy of it. FogBreaker Studios.
Excellent. And Abel, where can people find you online?
You can usually find me as Abiel Parsons on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and YouTube. If it's not Abiel Parsons, it's Abe Sapien, with an A instead of an E at the end. So.
Oh, cool. I think I've seen you around a couple of the Discords.
Yeah, I pop in and around every now and then. I'm kind of sloppy with my YouTube. I need to start making some videos again.
Hey, and just quiet on that one, man.
And so I'm usually posting on Twitter or the different groups on Facebook as well.
Hey,
awesome.
Just real quick, in the spirit of iron sharpening iron, I appreciate y'all doing the challenge, even if you don't do it every day. Like that alone will push me a little bit to keep me on task. So I'm very, very grateful that y'all think it's cool.
No problem.
Definitely. And like Michael Jordan, I'm competitive.
Hey, good. All right, man. Let's do it. I hope everybody thinks that. I hope everybody's prepared to have the best day. So like that'll make for a pretty cool challenge. So let's see what we can come up with.
Absolutely.
All right. Hey, y'all be good. Everybody. Thanks again for having me on. Y'all take care. Everybody in the chat, thanks. Take care. Have a good night.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you again next time. Thanks. Thank you guys for coming on.